Well, fellow Toastmasters and honored guest Peter, I would first of all like to explain my role for the benefit of Peter. As an evaluator, it's my responsibility to introduce the speaker, and later on in the meeting I will come back up and I will propagate my responses or an evaluation of Matt's speech. So it's my responsibility to identify things that he did well and offer some recommendations on what he could do better as a speaker. With that, it is my pleasure to introduce Matt Pahl. He is working on, out of the Competent Communicator Manual, CC5, which is Your Body Speaks. Matt actually gave his icebreaker speech at a different club, the community club, the Trailblazers Community Club. And he's actually going to reintroduce himself to this club, being that he's a new member to the Rising Stars. So he's going to actually give his icebreaker again, and he's changed it around a little bit to meet the requirements of this speech. And the requirements of this speech being that your body speaks. What I'm looking for is gestures, facial expressions, and basically using his body to express his feelings throughout the speech. So with that, I'd like to bring up Matt Pahl, and the name of his speech is The Purpose-Driven Toastmaster, and the time should be 5 to 7 minutes. Matt.
Fellow Toastmasters and guests, as Randy said, I'd like to introduce myself formally to the club with my first speech here. It's actually speech number 5. Give a chance to introduce myself to the club and let you guys know a little bit about me and why I joined Toastmasters. And this is a very relevant subject because recently I was asked what my goals are within Toastmasters. And I said, well, that's easy. I want to finish my competent communicator by the end of the year. That's what I put on my performance review. Well, then I got thinking about it a little more. I started scheduling speeches. Well, why am I doing this? And so it kind of begged the question, well, why did I join Toastmasters in the first place? If I really want to get at what I'm trying to accomplish or set a goal, then I really need to understand why I'm doing it. And really, there are 3 main goals that make up why I picked to finish the Competent Communicator Manual by the end of the year. 1 is I want to get comfortable speaking publicly. 2, I want to gain leadership by communicating through my body language better. And 3, I want to enjoy it. I want to be able to get up and take opportunities as they come. And I'll elaborate a little bit more on that. But to understand why these goals are important to me, I want to give you a little bit of history of why. I think speaking is naturally, in front of a group, is naturally difficult. And for me, my first memorable speaking experience was in high school speech. In my high school speech class, our instructor his name was Mr. Benander. And he was a very cold, hard person. Very good guy, but on the outside, very cold, very, very gruff kind of person. And he was known for not giving A's to anybody. Matter of fact, there were a few valedictorians that specifically took their speech class through community college, just so they didn't jeopardize their 4.0. So going into it, there was intimidation to start with. So my very first speech, I was prepared, had practiced, knew what I wanted to talk about, got up there. As soon as I got up in front of the group, feel the rush of blood to my face, sweaty palms, voice kind of cracked, and my mind went blank. Now I did recover. After I got through the first part of the speech, things progressively got better. I didn't get a really good grade on the speech, but I made it through, and I made it through the class, and I ended up with a B, which I guess is not too bad for someone I won't give an A, but really I didn't ever feel comfortable giving the speech. I got through it, I made the hurdle, but I didn't really feel like it had given me much confidence or propelled me forward to get comfortable with it. So then I went on to college, and of course in college we have presentations in different speeches, both individually and as a group. And I made it through those as well, but again I never felt comfortable. I had the same kind of reactions, being nervous in front of people with the sweaty palms and based on that. But as college goes, especially engineering school, you make time for what you need to get done, and sometimes that's about all you can fit in. So once I finished school, I went into the start of my professional career. You know, what would you know? You have to give up and give a presentation. Now this was a little bit different because presenting to engineers is much more difficult, I believe, because engineers are critical thinkers. They'll challenge you. So this particular presentation I did prepare for. And I was giving the presentation, and about 2 minutes into it, I get a question. And the questions were supposed to be saved to the end, but you know, that's how things go. So I fielded the question. And that question turned into a whole conversation amongst the group, and I totally lost focus with the presentation. And it took a while to get the presentation back on track, and by that point I was flustered. I felt like I lost my message. Finished the presentation, and in a word, to summarize how I felt afterwards, I was frustrated. I didn't communicate what I thought was easy to communicate. I understood the material, but it didn't matter because I didn't communicate it effectively. So I decided I'm going to do something about this. So that's when I started looking towards Toastmasters. And I joined in December 2009, and I'm on speech number 5. So this kind of ties back to why I have my goal to finish by the end of the year, is to keep me on track. But in particular, the 3 pieces of that goal are to get comfortable in front of people speaking. 2, I want to gain leadership through body language. When you try to communicate, as I spoke about my presentation, when you try to communicate to a group and you don't portray confidence or knowledge of what you're speaking on, it's going to be really hard to get buy-in from those individuals. And you're really not going to effectively communicate what you're trying to get across. And 3, I just want to have fun. I want to do it. There are opportunities all the time that show up where you have a speaking role or leadership role that you can take. And I don't want to stray away from those opportunities just because I'm uncomfortable with getting up in front of people. And to tie it into the theme of today's meeting, I'd like to have freedom from public speaking and anxiety and have fun while giving speeches. Adam Toastmaster.